everybody. Welcome to the Steckline Report. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. Weather's heading all the talk around the farms these days, and it has pushed grain prices much stronger than anybody thought. We're going to talk about weather, and we're going to talk about Senate Farm Bill again in just a minute.
I first got started in the cattle business. My wife and my father-in-law got me into it. I love dealing with the animals and being in the outdoors. At American Ag Credit, I know a lot of them are in the same business that I am. Therefore they understand what I need and what problems I'm against, so they can work with you on it, and it makes it much easier.
It's been passed down to me through the generations, and I want to pass it on down to the next generation or two.
Well, friends, the weather is making big news around the country, and boy, has that pushed market prices higher by a bunch, much more than anybody had ever thought about. Not only is the weather in the United States a problem, but it's also a big problem in the former Soviet Union and Australia, where they're trying to grow some wheat. And I got to tell you, you put three big countries like that behind the 8 ball with the weatherman, we've got ourselves a hot ticket. Now, is this weather going to break? Has it already in certain areas? Well, of course, you'll have to watch that with me, friends. There's no doubt that none of us can tell you that. But something interesting that DTN did was to take a look at a June 17th figure from 1986 to 2012 that plots the average June 17th crop rating. They come up with this year's June 17th corn rating at 726. Now, that's the second lowest since 1996. And looking at the data from all of those years, there's only 2 or 3 years where it's been worse than that particular rating, which means the outlook for a yield right now is not the best in the world for corn, and maybe not even soybeans. Well, let's talk about that Senate Farm Bill that passed. We've already given you quite a bit of information on it. We're going to now kind of guess what's going to happen with you over in the House. They're going to take up the issue of the Senate Farm Bill in the House after the 4th of July recess. And we're guessing that a couple of the amendments that were passed over in the Senate are in trouble. And I'll tell you which ones. First of all, there are a couple of amendments that I wasn't for to begin with. I now find out that the head of the Senate Ag Committee and the ranking Republican there, Pat Roberts, that's Roberts and Stabenow, both voted against these 2 amendments. The first one is that Coburn from Oklahoma amendment with Dick Durbin that got 66 senators to back shaving 15% off the premium subsidy for farmers who have an adjusted gross income of somewhere around $750,000. 14 members of those that voted against the amendment were House Ag Committee or Senate Ag Committee members. Can you believe that? That's a lot of folks that know a lot about agriculture voting against the amendment. I believe the House is going to be serious about taking that baby up and taking a good, long, hard look at it. The big issue with that is this. Whether you're for or not against big farmers, if you make their insurance premium too high, guess what they're going to do? Drop it. They can probably afford to go without insurance quicker than anybody. If they drop it, the insurance companies have a problem called income. And so they probably have to raise the rates on the little guys. So that really is an amendment against small farmers, and they try to tag it big farmers. In the meantime, the no votes on the Saxby-Chambliss amendment that would require farmers to stay in compliance with conservation and erosion standards in order to be eligible for crop insurance premium subsidies. That's got some problems too. 12 members of the Ag Committee there on the Senate voted against it, including Stabenow and Roberts. And I would say that if those 2 guys, or guy and gal, are against it, that will kind of sneak over into the House Ag Committee and the House discussion as they go. Other amendments probably will make it. One that I'm not sure about, a $75,000 payment cap on marketing loans, passed only by 75 to 24. Only 6 members of the Ag Committee were opposed to it, and Stabenow and Roberts voted for it. So I suppose that thing's okay. Speaking of insurance companies, something going on that I didn't know about. Insurance companies in Australia, Bermuda, and Switzerland have acquired 5 of the 9 largest U.S. crop insurers just in recent years. That came from the Wall Street Journal, June the 19th. They say that it came too late to affect the Farm Bill debate in the Senate, but could influence the deliberations of the House. Maybe we'll see something pop up there. And by the way, speaking of buying stuff, The Brazilians are relenting on restrictions on foreign farmers buying their farm ground. Just in 2010, they passed the law to limit. Now they want to get rid of it. Wonder why. See you on the next Steckline Report.